Hey guys, it's Ghost Queen. I'm back. It's January 2nd. It's Thursday. And hopefully everyone has recovered from their hangovers from New Year's. Um, Luckily, I didn't get hungover because I only had like one glass of champagne on New Year's Eve and one glass of champagne yesterday. Not enough to get really drunk and get hungover. And I have to say a big apology for yesterday because I know the sound was all screwy and Wayne didn't tell me right away, and I didn't realize until I reviewed the stream afterwards that it sounded so horrible. There was like a white noise sort of. We figured out excuse me, what happened, which was it's crazy, but I had actually had my Bose headphones were on and they were over across the room by my chair, and I have them set up so that they can connect to either my phone or my laptop. Hey Shan. And they have a microphone on them, so they had automatically connected to my laptop and had activated the mic, and so I was actually recording myself streaming through the mic on my Bose headphones across the room, if you can believe that craziness. Technology, you gotta love it. It's like always crazy, and it's gotta be set up just right. So, yeah. Um, so hi Shan. I don't know how many people will be around today. I suspect a lot of people are back to work today. But nonetheless, this is when I wanted to do my stream today, so here I am. Um, so, a few things I'm going to talk about today. Um, we've got the pink curly wig back. My favorite one. I was actually looking online last night at some different spiral curl wigs in different colors. I love the spiral curls. I did once get a perm like this, um, but I have very thin hair and very fine and not a ton of it. I never have. I've always had thin hair. So while it did look cute on me, it didn't hold forever. And oh, take a nap, Shen, and I'll talk to you later. Um, yeah, it didn't hold forever, and I don't know. It was really time consuming, very expensive also. They're not cheap, and I had it done in the salon, and it was like it took forever to get the curlers put in, and it was pricey, and it didn't last that long. So and I don't have this much hair. So rather than do it on myself, I prefer the wigs. The wigs are fun and easy anyway. So, um, today I'm going to talk about a few different things. I want to talk about how, if you are interested in going down a path of magic for the first time and you're wondering where to start, it can all be very confusing. And as I touched on yesterday, you don't necessarily have to, choose some crazy, to you, new, wild spiritual path in order to practice magic. You don't have to worship a new deity or anything like that if that seems really crazy and wild and foreign to you. But you still have an interest. You can just practice sort of like a nature-based magic. And where do you start? I really recommend reading books. There's billions of them out there nowadays. That's always a good place to start to gain some knowledge. And excuse me, I'm really froggy today. My allergies are kicking up wicked. My nose has been running nonstop. I think all the yard work I've been doing is just getting to me. So, excuse me for being so congested. I think I'm even, yeah, anyway. So, I think books are a great place to start. There is a fantastic book that I have on my Kindle. I don't really use it anymore, but it is a good book, and I think it's called The Encyclopedia of a Thousand Spells, something like that. this woman has written a lot of books, and after the stream, I will put a link in the description. And, that's an easy reference guide to, like, tons of different spells. Um, I'm kind of at the level now where I just create my own spells, and I write my own spells, and I create my own spell work. So I don't really turn to reference guides anymore. I don't really use other people's spells anymore. I create my own, and I do highly encourage that. I think that you need a little experience under your belt and a little knowledge before you can get to that point. And usually nobody in the beginning has the confidence to really do that. But once you get there, it's a good thing. So yeah, you can use just simple nature-based spell work. Another thing you can do is simple work with sigils. And creating a sigil is pretty simple. Really all you need is some brown paper. I use brown paper normally. You can use parchment paper. You can even use white paper. I just happen to prefer brown paper. I just use brown paper from paper bags. And you just cut out a circle and draw a sigil. And how to draw a sigil, there is a formula to it. And again, I will put a link in the description so that you can go and look it up. It's pretty simple. And just use a black magic marker, draw a sigil, and then there are various ways to charge it. Sigil work is very simple magic and very effective, and anybody can do it. So it's just working with the subconscious mind. That's how these things work. And part of magic and spell work and working with the subconscious mind is that you need to forget about the spell in order for it to work, and it usually doesn't work until you've forgotten about it. So after you've charged it with your focus and your intention, then it's best to let it go and try not to think about it, because that's the sooner you can forget about it, the quicker you'll get results. So yeah, you don't have to have an altar, especially if you're not worshiping a deity or an entity. You don't need to have an altar. It's up to you if you want to have one or not. Some people like to have altars that are honoring their ancestors, and that can be a very simple altar that you set up. I recommend cleansing the altar first. You can do that with salt. You can do that with sage smoke, or other types of incense smoke. You can do it with holy water if you want. That's an effective way to cleanse an altar as well. And you can collect holy water pretty much at any Catholic church. Whenever I wanted holy water, I would just go into a Catholic church and I would get some. Some people don't feel confident enough to do that, but you can do that. You can also make your own holy water. It doesn't have to be blessed by a priest. You can make it yourself. Hey, Dario, how are you? So yeah, you can cleanse the altar space, and then if you're making an altar to your ancestors, you could use photographs of them. You could use personal items of theirs if you have it. Really, it's totally up to you. You could put flowers on there, anything that you felt was relevant to your ancestry and your ancestors. For instance, if you're Irish, you could put things relevant to that on the altar, a claddagh, whatever, you get the picture. Yes, I know that, and I'm the same. So, yeah, there's, I know when people are starting out, a lot of times, if they're starting out on a path, usually they're a little bit tentative and nervous at first. I don't actually think YouTube is the best place to find information on such things. I never really got a lot out of YouTube when I first started on my path. But, that's not to say that some useful information can't be found, but I think you can find better information in other places, other sources. I definitely recommend books. There's just so many great books out there that can be good reference guides. So I've also noticed a trend. I don't know if trend is the right word. A commonality oftentimes, maybe that's a better word, amongst witches is that oftentimes they do start on a path of Eastern religion before they end up with, becoming interested in witchcraft. So, and I recommend that, if you want to do some Eastern religious studies and maybe get involved with yoga, Buddhism, meditation, those sorts of things, I definitely think that can aid you in a path to magic. And meditation, certainly in itself, is something any kind of practitioner of magic should be well familiar with, because that's something you definitely need in your practice. Be able to get to a trance state, be able to get to a meditative state where you're able to focus, and those types of Eastern religions, and practices can help you develop that kind of practice. So yeah, those are some good, things that can start you off on a path. And you should be familiar with nature. You should be familiar with the elements, and you should be comfortable in nature and comfortable working with things that are of nature. And you should know how to ground, absolutely. And yeah, it's there's different types. Now it's sort of trendy to call yourself like either a green witch or a kitchen witch or a hedge witch, or whatever. I don't really sort of put myself into any particular category like that. I don't like to limit myself. But I do think it is helpful to become familiar with herbs and their uses, and perhaps crystals also and their uses. But definitely herbs. And yeah. Hey, Fumble Bunny, how are you? I think that even cooking is a type of magic. That's a sort of type of creative magic in itself. So if you're already a chef or a cook, that will only help you in your practice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can suggest. Certainly, if anybody wants me to talk about anything specific, I'm more than happy to. But, those are some simple little guideposts to get you started on your way. You should be willing to work with different forms of divination. Hopefully you're already familiar with them, but if not, it's very easy to learn some simple forms of divination. Like I say, a pendulum. Using a pendulum is something anyone can do. It's very simple. You don't need any particular skill or talent to be able to use a pendulum, and that's a very simple form of divination. That's also, I feel, one of the most effective and reliable. So you can, and it doesn't cost hardly anything to pick up a pendulum. You can buy one online for a couple of dollars, So that's a great tool to have, but don't spend a lot of money, and if it's, especially with women, I know a lot of women could get involved in hobbies because it becomes, connected to sort of like a fun shopping thing. And it becomes a new shopping addiction. And I think that a lot of the witches on, YouTube and Instagram, like that's sort of the thing, is like, oh, look, all the things I can buy, and or it's connected to like their own art. Oh, look at everything I can make. And while there's nothing wrong with that, and I don't want to suggest that there is. I also don't want other people to feel left out. Like, if you're not great at art or creating things, if you're not super creative and you don't get real artsy and you don't, want to make a gorgeous, beautiful, perfect journal, you don't need to. But journaling is very useful and very helpful in spell work and in the practice of magic. So I do recommend keeping a journal. Um, Daily journaling is great in all aspects of your life. It can be very cathartic and therapeutic. Um, but, you don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't need to go out and buy a lot of stuff. Even if you're doing sort of, let's say, spell work with candles, candle magic. You can buy one pack of multicolored candles and you're all set. And you don't even have to do that. If you're really broke, like, go out and buy a pack of birthday candles. I always like smaller candles anyway because they burn faster. So, yeah, don't think that you have to be, wealthy or have a lot of extra money to spend if you want to get involved in a practice. Um, you don't you don't need that. You don't need a bunch of stuff. You know some practices, like if you were wanting to be specifically Wiccan, they do have a lot of rules and guidelines that they follow. I'm not really a rule girl, so that didn't appeal to me a lot. But if you feel like you need a lot of structure, you could, follow a lot of the Wiccan traditions. Um, as far as the different paths involved with magic and the occult, there are many out there, and I wouldn't start off just picking one and going with it. I would wait and see where you're led, and see where your path takes you, because it will take you to where you need to be. Um, and I've heard people who want to start off in witchcraft and who are interested in perhaps choosing a matron and a patron, and they don't know who to choose. Don't pick anyone. Just wait, and they'll come to you. They choose you. You don't choose them. So just start off with a simple practice and wait and see where you're led. Hey, Mary, no worries. Um, yeah, so like I say, these are just a little bit of a few little tips and tidbits and ideas on how to get started. Um, there can be a lot of pomp and circumstance, sort of involved with ceremony and ritual and tools and whatnot, but you don't have to do it that way, and you don't need all those things if you don't want to. It's really up to you. It's up to your own personal style, and personally, I do think, that is part of the whole deal, is becoming confident in yourself and trusting yourself, and doing what you want to do. So if that's something that appeals to you, by all means, go for it. But you don't have to do it that way. It doesn't have to be very elaborate and extravagant. It can be very simple, and sometimes that's better and more effective. So, yeah. Um, I mean, anything that gets you thinking, I think, is a good thing. So, don't limit yourself, and don't, you know, I think keeping an open mind is best, and not, sort of constricting yourself to one particular way or one particular practice. I say go out and sample a little bit of everything and figure out what you want to do. I do sort of tend to combine a lot of different practices, hoodoo, voodoo. Um, Dario says a few decades back I was into Native American pathways, and that led me in down other rabbit holes. Absolutely, and that is what will happen, and that's fantastic. And of course, Native Americans have so much to offer, such spiritual people. So that's awesome. You know, and I really haven't, I haven't researched a ton about Native American pathways. However, I'm familiar with some of them just because I've stumbled upon them, and usually I do resonate pretty strongly with a lot of their practices. So, and I certainly have a lot of respect for the Native American people. The few that I've had the pleasure of meeting just have been wonderful people, and yeah, very, they're very nature based. So, of course, that appeals to me because I am a nature girl. So, I think I'm going to move along from that topic. But, like I say, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm always happy to share what I know. I don't know it all, but I know a few things here and there. I'm playing with my little, I got this little kit to play with on New Year's with this pink slime, and it came with these things to put in it, these little styrofoam balls and silver glitter, and then this adorable little squishy, which is part of why I bought it, this little cloud squishy, but I can't bear to put him in it. I'm just playing with him. But it was so cute. And I kind of like the slime just plain, so I'm using that as a little fidget thing right now. And you know, even squishies and like slime and stuff like this, this can help you get into a calm, relaxed state for meditation also. So, you know, it might seem silly, but there can be a really good use for it. I know other people are aware of that, so it's not just me. I'm not the only crazy one. I'm drinking a vanilla Coke today. I very rarely buy, well, I don't think I've ever bought these. And I didn't buy these. I think Wayne bought them. But when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to a little sort of, kind of like a little diner type place called Friendly's. They have them in New England. I don't think they have them in the South. But I'm trying to think of what down here I could compare it to, but I really can't think of anything. Sort of like an ice cream shop, but kind of like a diner as well, lunch place. And anyway, my dad used to take me to these places when I was a kid, and back then, and they do still do it now, but it was, you could get like a fountain drink where you would get the Coke, and they would actually make you a vanilla Coke by putting the vanilla syrup in and everything, and eventually, you know, it became more popular, and now Coke makes them themselves. And it does taste pretty much like a vanilla Coke, but not as good as the ones you get that are like a fountain drink. But they're not bad. So that's that. I was making out my new calendar for the month. You know, I use a dry erase calendar, and I always turn to this book, The Witch's Almanac, to help me write out my calendar for the month. It'll just tell me where the moon phases are, and right now the moon is in Aries, I've noticed this morning. And yeah, if you're someone who follows such things, you can always look up what your horoscope is for the day and whatnot. I'm not hugely knowledgeable about astrology, but I'm trying to learn a little bit more as I go. It wasn't always a huge focus of mine, but I am starting to learn a little bit more here and there. So that's sort of fun. I always like to learn new things. Keep it fresh, keep it moving, keep growing, and whatnot. And I did do the first spell with my daily spell journal, and I love this. This is interesting, and it's sort of, you know, it's a good way to get ideas and, you know, really keep you in tune with your practice as well. So for January 2nd, I haven't done this one yet. It's a seed divination spell. It says to use a silver candle, 7 seeds or beans. Mark today by using seeds for a bit of divination, and I think I already know which ones I will use. Paired with a silver candle to aid your intuitive abilities. Light the candle and focus on what you hope to learn. When you're ready, close your eyes, shake the seeds in your hands, and then, keeping your eyes shut, drop them on the table in front of you. Take a moment to figure out how the shape or image relates to your question. If you're simply looking for a yes or no answer, use a piece of string as a dividing line. Assign one side of the line as yes and the other as no, and see which side the majority of the seeds land on. So that's just another form of divination, similar to using a pendulum. And I will use some okra seeds because I love those pink okra seeds. Matches the wig. And Marie Laveau used to use okra seeds in her spell work, and in my spell kit that I have created, that I will eventually be sharing with the public and selling, I also incorporate okra seeds in the spell. So yeah, very cool. I love that little journal, that little book. So I will do that later today. As far as times of day when I'm going to be streaming, it's really going to depend on the day, since I am trying to stream every single day if I can manage it. It will just sort of depend on what I'm doing that day, what my mood is, you know, what my plans are, when I have time to squeeze it in and whatnot. And like I say, I knew today it might be an awkward time because a lot of people probably are back to work, but nonetheless, I just felt like kind of doing it earlier today, because I probably will be doing nighttime streams for Friday and Saturday night. So yeah, I just thought I would do a daytime one today. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, so this is an interesting thing, and again, after the stream, I will put a link in the description to this video. I had mentioned I was doing a little paranormal experiment with someone. Hold on, let me read Mary's comment. I have a few different kinds of Native American in me. I really should research my heritage. I am very proud of it. I have Cherokee, Blackfoot. Most of it is on my mom's side. My dad was more European lines. Yes, you definitely should, Mary, because I would be proud of it too. That's awesome. I don't believe I have any Native American in me. I'm all European descent, but that's fantastic, and you should research it, and perhaps creating an altar to your ancestors would be a great thing for you to do. So yeah. So anyway, getting back to this experiment I mentioned I'm doing with Five Rivers Paranormal, where I invited his spirits to come to my home and visit with me, and we decided to do a little experiment where I would place something in a cup, and then he would ask them what it was and try to get some EVP response and see if we could do a little experiment. And we thought it would be a fun way to, sort of do a blind test to see if they got the answer correct. And I haven't told anyone what I've put in the cup, and I did put something in a cup. So he did do one little EVP session so far, and I will put a link in the description to that video, and they have not gotten the answer right yet. However, I will say they said some funny things during the session that has relevance and meaning to me, and it made me laugh. And one of the things that I've noticed with spirits and me is they're often very playful and very jokey with me, and this was consistent for me with the way that spirits usually interact with me because of my personality and my character and my nature. I tend to joke a lot myself. I'm a jokey type person. I can be sort of playful and jokey and sarcastic, and what my grandmother would have called fresh and wise, snarky. I have a playful nature, and the spirits know that, and they usually interact with me in that sort of way. They oftentimes are playful and jokey with me. And some of the things that they said during the session was pretty funny to me. And like I say, it did have relevance. And then they did also say that they were having a hard time seeing what was in the cup, and I understand why. So what I did today was I actually took the item out of the cup, showed it to them, and gave them a good look. And so let's see if they were able to, if then next time they're able to communicate during an EVP session with this gentleman the correct answer. So that's an interesting little fun thing that we're doing. Excuse me. Another thing I was going to mention today is, you know, I kind of, this is back to the Onision thing for a second. You know, I caught one of the Chris Hansen shows yesterday on YouTube, the last one that he did, which I guess was like 6 days ago or something, maybe a week ago, and I hadn't seen it. I'd missed it, and I caught it yesterday, most of it, not all of it. I sort of skimmed through a little bit. But what parts I did see were pretty disturbing, and they were actually more to do with his husband. I was about to misgender there, and I'm sorry, I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm pretty sure she's still identifying as male, even though she hasn't transitioned, but I do believe she's identifying as male still. I don't know, I'm a little confused about it because somebody said she had switched back to identifying as female, and I don't know these people personally, and I certainly don't follow the gossip and the story surrounding them, you know, with a microscope. I just catch things here and there. But at any rate, Onision, I'm just going to continue to refer to him as, I think he wants to be referred to as male. So his husband, Kai, seems to be the worst perpetrator in that situation. That was discussed on Chris Hansen's show, and it's troubling. I really felt for this person who was interviewed. It was very sad, and it was very, like, I could feel his trauma, and I could feel his shame and humiliation and embarrassment, and I really empathized with him and had a lot of compassion, and it made me feel really sad for him. And certainly it made me think about if he was my son, how upset I would have been. So you might want to check that out. Again, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out that show. It's troubling, it's disturbing, and I do hope it is being taken seriously by the FBI and being looked into, because it does seem like there might be some cases of child pornography involved, because, you know, if you're talking about underage kids, I don't care if they're a young teenager, if they're not of age, that's still what it's called. There you have it. So that's that I just wanted to mention. And what else? Trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to talk about today. I did check out Miss Wonderful today. She was streaming, and I guess The Porch, Pam and Ricky, if you're interested in the drama community at all, they are going to be having a fundraiser for Miss Wonderful tomorrow, I believe at 2 o'clock. I'm not sure if that's Central or Eastern time. I think it's Eastern time. But they're doing their Porch of Love, where they're trying to have a fundraiser to raise money for Miss Wonderful, because she has some tax bills, I guess, to pay off, and I guess they put a lien on her liquor license because she owes money in taxes. So she can't tend bar at the moment, so she can't make any money that way until she gets this tax lien paid off. So this is what the money is for. And I know she does have hopes in the future of opening up her own bar and having a reality show and whatnot. So if you follow her and if you like her and support her, you certainly should head on over to The Porch tomorrow. Shoot the Shit is their YouTube channel, and give them your support if you can, and if you have enough extra money lying around to donate some to her, I'm sure she would be very grateful, and help her out. So, yeah. Hey, Teresa, how are you? So that's that little bit of story. I know I did say I was going to make a video addressing order of magnitude and a video he made about my good friend Shannon Mortis the Wizard, and I still do plan to do that. Um, I just haven't gotten to it yet, so you can look for that in the future. That will be coming, and yeah, I think that's probably the gist of it for today. I don't know that I have anything else super exciting to talk about and discuss today. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a little froggy. I've been having really bad post-nasal drip lately. My allergies have been really kicking up from all the yard work I was doing. And I think it's just the time of year here. Right now, it's been raining for the past couple of days, and it's very damp. And I do have a ton of allergies. Both Wayne and I have a ton of allergies. We're allergic to environmental things. I'm allergic to mold and mildew, and I'm just sensitive. So a lot of times my respiratory system can go sort of nuts based on various allergies I have, and of course I am smoking as well. I haven't quit yet. I have cut down, but I haven't quit yet, so that affects me too. But this I can tell is from the post nasal drip that I've been having, and I am having a little bit of an allergic reaction right now to these ant bites. In fact, I even got a bump right now on my face, and I know I didn't get bit on my face, so I know that's due to the allergic reaction because it's spreading. I've got it really bad on this arm, and it started on this arm now, and now I even got like a stupid bump on my face. So that lets me know that I'm having a reaction, and I do get them from time to time from various things. So yeah, I'm hoping I don't have to break down and go to the doctor and get some steroid treatment for an allergic reaction. I'm hoping I can just wait it out and have it clear up. I hate going to the doctor. I hate going to the emergency room. Hate all that stuff, and I don't want to ever have to go more than I have to go. But sometimes you got to do it. Give me just 2 seconds, you guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. It's freezing in here. Per usual, Wayne has it set to meat locker status. So it's like freezing in here. I'm starting to get chilly. This is funny. I don't know if you can tell, I'm wearing a purple top. And this is I've had this shirt for I don't even know how many years, but I wore it. This will show you how I sometimes save things. I wore this back when I was nursing. I've got a couple bleach stains on it right there. But this is an old nursing shirt. So you can get up into my bra there. But it's very slimming. And and I love the bright purple color, the dark purple color, I should say. And I just kept it all these years because I love purple so much. But isn't that funny? It's an old nursing. I nursed all my 4 kids, and my youngest child I nursed the longest till she was just past 3 years old. So, um, oh my God, it's no, ours is low. I like Wayne likes to keep it at like 61. So I'm constantly freezing. Um, I bought this stuff called One Step to help quit smoking. It's a 4-step. See, I just lost that. Oh, it's a 4-step thing that has 4 tube like doodads that cut the nicotine down. Oh yeah. Well, that's not the issue for me. The issue is me being serious about it and committed. That's the issue. Once I'm ready to do it, I'll do it. It's just that's it. Um, I can do it. I've done it before, and I've done it for long periods of time. But yeah, I just have to be ready, and clearly I haven't been yet. So that's that. God knows I have enough vapes around and nicotine in all different levels, and whatnot. So that's not the issue. It's just a psychological issue right now. So yeah. Um, yeah, it's freezing in here. Always keeps it so bloody cold. I have like a heated throw, and then I have like a pink fuzzy throw. So like when I'm relaxing with Wayne and watching TV or watching a movie or something, um, I have to really bundle up. Yeah, exactly. There are reasons why I'm prolonging it that I just don't want to talk about publicly. But there are reasons, and you're right. When I'm ready, I'll be ready, and I'll do it, and that'll be that. Um, and that's that. I am stubborn and pigheaded, and I certainly have to do things my own way in my own time, just like somebody else I know. um, I was online last night. This is totally changing the subject and not relevant to anything, but it just popped into my head for some reason, probably because I'm staring at the pink. um, so I had seen this huge, really, I don't know how to pronounce it, Rilakuma, I don't know Japanese at all. I love languages, and that's one thing I would like to do as I age is learn more languages. I know quite a bit of French. I know quite a bit of American Sign Language, although I've lost a lot. But that's it. I don't know any other languages, and I love that Europeans oftentimes teach their children several languages, and I would like to learn more languages, but I don't know any Japanese at all, and I would imagine that's a hard language to learn. But so those huge bears, um, Rilakuma, Rilakuma. I don't know how you say it. I've never even heard it said pronounced. I'll have to look it up. But I had seen this huge one in a music video, so I was searching online to see if I could find them, and I ended up finding one that was just like it, but that was pink. And it's a cherry blossom one that they put out during the cherry blossom season over there. I think that's called Sakura. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I found this adorable pink teddy um, that looks like the same bear, but it's just a pink one with some cherry blossoms on it, and it was so cute. And I think I tweeted a picture of it actually last night. And yes, I've heard that nicotine is more addictive than heroin, actually. Yeah, it is very personal and it is very difficult. And like I say, in my life journey, I mean, I started smoking at the age of 10. I'm 51 now. Certainly there have been times over the years where I have quit for long periods of time, years even. But I always go back to it. It's very addictive, not just physically, but psychologically, mentally as well, emotionally, all of it. And trust me, I've been through programs. I know all about it. I know all about the psychology of it. You know, no, I will type out how it's spelled. Um, yeah, so it's just And, luckily when I was young, and this would have been pre-children, um, and I experimented with various substances, I had a rule when I was a wild child, running loose in Boston like a wild child and kicking my heels up um, after high school. But before I was married and had children, I was partying like a lot of people my age were. And one of the very fast rules I had was I would never put a needle, you know, never use a needle for any kind of substances, and I never did, thank God. And just something in me that I guess was wiser than I certainly was at that age said to me that would be a bad idea. Oh, yeah. Well, I hope by the time I'm in my 60s, I will be at that point myself. I've been getting closer as I age and have, you know, various health issues and whatnot. Um, I had a grandmother who actually both of my grandparents, I think, both of my grandmothers um, smoke and drank, pretty heavily um, into their, late 60s when they both passed away. They both passed away pretty young. Um, so, yeah, that's another encouraging thing. However, you can repair the damage from smoking fairly quickly if you do quit. I've researched all that. So, yeah, it is better to be healthy, and when you have children, you want to be around a long time for them. It's not that, I'm fear death or anything. It's just that I do, want to be around to see my grandchildren someday, which I'm sure I will have. And you want to live as long as possible when you have a family and people that love you and that you love. So, yeah. Yeah, I've used the patch before also, and that helped me too. Also, I've used um, nicotine gum, obviously the vaping, and I'm the same Fumble Bunny. I usually need various things like lollipops and anything to keep both my hands and my mouth busy. I definitely am orally fixated. And that's part of it too, which is why I'll never give up vaping. And the funny thing is I prefer vaping. I really do. I prefer vaping. Speaking of, where is my vape? I've got a couple in front of me, but that's not the one I'm looking for. I prefer vaping because it doesn't stink as bad, it tastes better, it doesn't smell as bad, it definitely tastes better, and I love everything about vaping, and I won't ever give up vaping. I might someday go to zero nic, but I'll never give up vaping. But smoking and vaping can do it for you as a replacement for cigarettes. You do have to get used to it's a different experience and it's not the same as smoking because especially with the juices and stuff, you just can't replace smoking exactly with a vape. But it can replace smoking and it can actually be better than smoking. In my opinion, it sort of is. But smoking is different and there's different reasons why I do it. And yeah, but I love vaping. I won't ever give that up. Yeah, it's definitely it's a hand mouth thing for me. Definitely a hand mouth thing. Where is my other vape? Hold on, I'm gonna grab it because now that I'm thinking of it, I want it. Where did I leave it? I'm gonna blow this out as well. 2 seconds, guys, while I grab my vape. I think I left it in the bathroom. bathroom. It must be on the bloody chair. Yep, there it is. Oh, this juice. Oh, God, it's so good. So tasty. The other thing about vaping, too, is if you have any problems with eating or sweets, like I have a problem with sweets, and this can help with that, too, because, like, the juice I'm vaping right now, this maple donut juice, it's like maple donut bar or something. So sweet, so tasty. It's almost like having a candy or something. It's awesome. But there is a lollipop that I always like when I'm quitting smoking, and it's those huge round ones. If you've seen them, they're really big and round. They sell them everywhere now. But I love the bubblegum ones. And I usually get those to, I like the watermelon ones and the strawberry banana ones, but the bubblegum is definitely my favorite. And I usually use those lollipops when I'm quitting as well. They're yummy and they last a long time. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. My mind just drifted off there for a minute. I'm wondering if there's a child spirit here, because I just was suddenly drawn to thinking about something having to do with a deceased child. That's strange. Anyway, I'm not going to do a session right now. If there is a child spirit around me right now, I'm not going to do a ghost box session right this moment. I'm just not up for one, but maybe we can do one later. Oh, that was the other funny thing about the Five Rivers Paranormal guy who I'm doing that little experiment with is that's another thing that spirits said to him was they said Heather's a card reader, which I am. So that was kind of funny and crazy. And that leads me to my next thought, which is I was thinking about I do want to do a tarot video where I'm sort of teaching a good system for learning tarot. But that is going to be a project. It's not going to be a short little video. It's going to be a long one, so I'm going to have to work on it. But in the meantime, I was also thinking about maybe talking like about a different tarot card every day. I could do that if anybody has an interest. But I don't want to do it unless people are interested. You know, I can. But I want to make sure I've got enough feedback that it's something people want me to do before I decide to do it. So let me know. And I think, like I say, I think that might be about it. Oh yeah, are you interested in tarot? Okay, cool. Then I will do that. Mary says, once I was a few months free, I felt so much better, but it was a total bitch to anyone here. Me, poor Matt. I know, I get really cranky too. You need to find a place you can order vapes from, Teresa. I'm sure we can help you with that. God knows. I hear the train. I love that sound of the train horn, the whistle. I had an entity visit me 2 nights ago, woke me up. First time that has happened to me since I was a child. Oh, really? Maybe it's because you're communicating with me. Did it feel negative or positive, or could you not tell? And how did you know? Did they, like, you woke up, could you visually see it? Could you hear it? How did you know there was an entity there? Or did you just sense it in general? Don't worry about it, Dario. You're funny. Yeah. that's not, I hate to say it, but that's not unusual. I do get a lot of people tell me that after they communicate with me suddenly, like they experience something paranormal. I am the ghost queen. Sorry. However, you shouldn't have any problems with any. Um, I should think that you shouldn't have any problems. And if you do, let me know. And I'll certainly just see how I can help. um, and I do tell this to people too. You know, while obviously because Wayne and I are in the business of building and selling spirit boxes, you know, we of course issue warnings that, you know, I've done videos about this in the past. I don't think everyone should do this type of communication or this type of, you know, I don't think everyone should use that type of equipment to communicate. And I believe certain people are more susceptible to problems than others. And I've done videos on how I think you can be susceptible to problems and why and whatnot. And certainly if you start having any issues, you should stop communicating and not do it anymore. But having said that, I am going to just say this, but first I'm going to read what you're saying, Fumble Bunny. He woke me up, he came up to me, held out his hand and said, "Come on, Lisa." I felt as if I took his hand, I would leave the body. I had my only out-of-body experience in a sleep paralysis. He was dark, and this sounds funny, but it was as if he had on a diving wetsuit. That makes sense to me. But when you say dark, do you just mean visually dark, or do you mean you felt like he was negative? And it could be that he was encouraging you to leave your body in the astral, not as in like wanting you to pass. It could have been that. And so what did you do? And so I'm glad I'm about to say this, and I am going to say this. Um, and hopefully this will help you too. One thing I do want everyone to know when it comes to these types of entities, but not mean. My apparition I saw when I was a child was white. He was black, but not scary. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you weren't scared. He also had lights on his chest, blue and purple. Wow, that's cool. He almost sounds like maybe he could be extraterrestrial, but it could just be like an interdimensional being. We were just talking about them, weren't we? Um, Here's what I'm going to say. You know, try to not ever be afraid. And like I say, I do think fear can draw the negative to you. And so it was like a full body apparition, not a shadow, but it was dark. Could you make out facial features or anything like that? I wonder if it's the same thing that visited me. Anyway, you shouldn't be afraid. And I'm going to explain why I'm even saying that. Um, First of all, fear, I do believe the state of fear can draw negative entities to you. It's almost like, I think if you're afraid, it sort of lights you up in a way that maybe might sort of send out a beacon, kind of like to other entities that might want to mess with you, let's say. But you still shouldn't be afraid, even if you believe that there are entities that might want to screw with you. I don't feel fear has a place. And what everyone really needs to understand is that you have the power and the ability to claim your home, to claim your domain and your space as your own, and to order anything you don't. It's just like, would you let somebody off the street walk into your home and hang out and break your stuff or whatever? No, you would not let them in. Or if somebody broke in, you would do what you had to do to defend yourself, or you would call the police or whatnot. And it's the same with these entities as well. You have the right to claim your domain, to claim your space, and to, if something is there that you don't want it to be there, then you make it leave. And I know that might sound more simple than what you feel it should be, but it really is that simple. You know, you just need to claim authority, and you need to make it leave. That's it. I can't put it any more simple than that. And you don't have to do that in a hateful way, or you know, a cruel way, or you just have to do it in a firm way, the same way you would deal with, or the same way I would deal with an animal, like a wild animal, or an errant child. Think of it like an errant child. You know, you have to be firm, and you have to be authoritative, and that's it. You know, you have to take control, and you have to be firm, and you have to be authoritative, but you can claim your domain. I don't know how to say it any more simple than that, but, you know, claim your space, claim your home, claim your house, your apartment, whatever it is, you know, and you decide who you allow in and who you know. I allow a lot of spirit. I have pretty much an open door policy with spirits. They know they're welcome here. That's me. You don't have to do that, you know. Nobody has to. And I'm not afraid of them, you know. I only had one experience where I experienced fear. I don't think I would have the same experience again, just because it was the first time I had seen something like what I saw, so I was fearful just because I was unsure. But I don't think I would feel that way again, and I certainly hope I wouldn't. I would like to think I can walk the talk, but it also didn't enter my home. So, yeah. I experienced sleep paralysis myself a few times, but I haven't had that in a very, very long time. Oh, that's crazy. Oh my God, that's wild. I have such an interest in the Bermuda Triangle too. Obviously, I'm interested in all sorts of crazy and weird things. I'm really interested in disappearances, you know, and people that disappear. And I do think so many people disappear. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it is human evil, and humans that abduct people and do terrible things to them, and then unfortunately they get away with it a lot of the time, and the people just aren't found. And you know, I watched a show last night about this 12-year-old boy that went missing in California a long time ago. His name was Brian. I don't know if I remember the last name, but I think he was one of the first to be put on a milk carton, and you know, the case was a cold case and it was never solved, but eventually they think they figured out that he was abducted and sexually molested, violated in some way, and then killed and dumped somewhere. And it's just so sad, you know. I hate to hear about those sorts of things happening to children. I can't understand why anyone would ever want to hurt a child. It's just so disturbs me to even know that these types of things exist in the world. Um, but it was a, but it touched upon these serial killers, and there were two. It was two guys who had like um, a remote sort of cabin in some sort of secluded area outside of San Francisco. So I think it was like in some kind of hills in California. They had a remote cabin, and they had like a little like shed or something that was a torture room, like a where they kept people and tortured them or sexually abused them or whatever they did to them before they then killed them. And they killed quite a few people. And then they ended up catching one of the guys and bringing him in for questioning, and he asked for a glass of water, and he had a cyanide capsule hidden in his collar. And when the cop who was questioning him went to get him a glass of water, he popped this cyanide capsule and took a drink and then died right there on the floor in front of the cop. So he committed suicide so he wouldn't have to endure the process of being caught and arrested and questioned and court and jail and whatnot. And but so they managed to find this remote location, and then they found like dump sites of like hundreds of bones. You know, they had burned bodies, and then they had buried like a journal and personal things to their victims. And yeah, it's hard to understand. It's really hard to understand. And right, I know. And that is the thing, Fumble Bunny. It's like it doesn't matter how much you learn, how much you try to analyze, and how much you try to understand. You just can't. You cannot. You literally cannot. Because, right, they have different brains, and it's got to do. I mean, I do think it's got to be connected to. Like, there's got to be something. I know sometimes, it's like when people are abused themselves, they can sort of then grow up to abuse others, and sometimes that's how some of these psychopaths are born. And I know there's like they call it like the Holy Trinity or something about predicting a psychopath. And I think it's like bedwetting, fire starting, and torturing or hurting or killing animals. And like if a child is doing those three things, it's a good predictor that they might turn out to be a psychopath with criminal tendencies in the future. But yeah, it's like they've got to have. I just don't even think the abuse thing though is enough to just turn a person that way. And I'm not discounting abuse and how cruel and awful it can be, or traumatic, but still, I just feel like there's got to be something missing in them, some sort of human, some sort of something that makes, that, keeps you in touch with your humanity. They have to be missing something, and I don't understand it. Yeah. 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 Yeah, you do have to sort of just. I know it's hard when you're in that state where you're not really conscious, so you're not necessarily thinking the same way you are when you're conscious, but you do have to try to get. I think this trick that I would use if I was in that situation where I was having sleep paralysis is, while I was conscious and awake, I would practice as regularly as I could saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, and because that's got to be key, is trying to wake yourself up so that you can then, overcome the state. Fumble Bunny says it is the frontal lobe. From what they can tell, our empathy is located there. They can be made that way from abuse as a child, but more are born that way. Yeah, I do think some are born that way, you know, and they are missing empathy. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like I've seen that in my own mother, and it's disturbing. Yeah, there's lots of roosters in my area. There's a ton of them next door, and they never stop. I don't even hear them anymore. I tune them out. Now that you've said it, I've noticed, but I tune them out. Yes, my neighbor raises them. Unfortunately, I think he's involved in raising these creatures for, um, illegal cockfighting. That's what I think. I don't have any proof, but that's what I suspect. And I'm not the only one that suspects it. And why they don't do anything about it, I don't know. But, I can't fix all the world's problems, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a good trick too. Trying to move your tongue or your pinky. Yeah, if you can try to focus just on one small, maybe your toe. Like try to focus on your toe and moving your big toe. Let's say that could be a good thing to get you back in the body enough. But and then I think the other thing I would suggest is try doing guided meditations that take you down into a meditative state where they focus on each part of the body, and there's a ton of them, even on just YouTube. You can find those guided meditations where they'll say, like, relax your left arm, relax your right arm, relax your neck. And they go through your whole body, having you relax the various parts of your body until you get into a very deep state. And deeply relaxed state, and that is a good way to focus on various parts of your body and being just more in tune with your body and aware of the various parts of your body. So that could aid you then in, if you needed to just focus on your toe, your big toe, to move it so you could sort of help get back in tune with your body and in touch with your body. I think that would be a good assistance too. My father was diagnosed a psychopath. A psychopath is not always a Ted Bundy. They're your next door neighbor. They are doctors, lawyers, CEOs. Right. Well, I feel like I definitely identified that my mother was a narcissist. Um, is she a psychopath? I don't know, but she's probably going to stalk me and watch this as well. But here's the thing I noticed about my own mother is that there's just times where I have been very upset and she stared at me with this sort of deadpan, there's a deadpan stare that you can look into their eyes and you just feel like there's nobody home, like there's nothing there. It's very empty and you don't sense a soul. And it's creepy, even for me. Oh man. Yes, I have a phone app. The phone app I have doesn't have guided. This is just a sound one, I think. I don't think they have guided um, meditations, but I actually love guided meditations, and they're very helpful to get you into that sort of state if you're not super familiar with meditation. I have this one that actually Wayne turned me on to. Let me see. Yeah, it does have a meditation thing. I've just never used it. Um, and it's called, let's see. Oops. All right. It just says sleep sounds. Like, I don't know if you can see here. You can see it right there. It's got a little moon and star, and it's called Sleep Sounds. And when I open the app, it looks like that. It says relax and sleep, and then it's got, I just use it for the sounds because you can actually make your own combination of sounds, which is kind of cool. So you can add like fire with rain on a tent. Oh, I just hit one. But you know what I'm saying? You can blend, I think, up to like 4 or 5 sounds, and they've got a whole bunch of different ones. But it does have a meditation button here, and maybe they have guided meditations. I don't know, but there's a billion apps out there, and you can definitely find one that has guided meditations. Yeah, it does have a lot to do with power and control. Narcissists and psychopaths are the same spectrum, different in ways, though. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly ways. I've kind of researched both. Um, there's that scale. What do they call? There's a test, and it's like the Robert. I'm trying to remember the Robert something test. He developed a test for psychopaths, I think, but I'm forgetting his last name off the top of my head. My favorite guided YouTube is the Nice Guys channel. I'm really picky about the speaker's voice. Yeah, I'm picky about the speaker's voice too. I don't mean to sound like one of those people that every time you bring up something I know about it. I'm just 62 years old and I have had a very interesting life, and I am the biggest empath intuitive ever. All my emotions are out there to see, but boy, have I been surrounded by weirdness. I hear you. And yeah, no, that's normal. You know, when you have gotten to an older age in life, you've had a lot of life experience. And, it's like America is weird because in other countries, people value the elderly more, and they respect the elderly more, and they turn to the elderly more for guidance and life advice. It's almost like here in America, we sort of look down upon the elderly like they're retarded children in a way, excuse me for saying so, but like seriously, we don't always have the respect for the elderly, I don't think, in this country that we should. And I don't know why that is. It's weird. Um, but I myself, like I've spent time volunteering in old age homes and stuff. And, I tell people like you should do something like that, especially if you don't have good role models in your life, or if you don't have family, older family members to help guide you. It can be really rewarding to volunteer in old age homes. And you can meet some amazing people that way. And just because someone is old doesn't mean they're, you know, um, not intelligent, or that they don't have tremendous life experience and amazing stories to share. No, of course not. I don't think hardly anybody could do that unless they were being rude or obnoxious, and then I would just boot them out of the chat. So I'm pretty, I'm pretty, everybody's welcome here. As long as you're being polite and not being offensive to anyone, everybody's welcome. Yeah, no, it's that's something that's much more common in different cultures, is to really value um, older people, and it's just not done here. It's strange if you think about it. I think it's because we became such a transient society. We don't live in the same towns with our extended family as much as we used to. Right. Because you will maybe see that a little bit more in, say, like, Mexican that are here, or Portuguese, or, if you go to areas where they have different cultures, Asians, you might actually see a little bit more of that. And that's generally because they do have their extended family around them. But like for me, I mean, I'm 51. All of my grandparents are deceased, all four. So I guess I'm getting to be the old one now. And my parents are alive, but I don't have relationships really with either one of them. I have an estranged relationship with my father right now, and I don't even really understand why. And then with my mother, well, it's probably because of my mother. Actually, I do understand why. It's because my mother decided to ruin that relationship for me because she's a narcissist. So my mother, I don't have a relationship with by choice. So yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's great, and should we all live so long? Oh, yeah. Yeah, my father's in Florida also. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm starting to get a little hungry, and I think I got to go eat something. But thanks for joining me today. And yeah, I know I didn't have a ton to talk about today. Um, but, still winding down from New Year's and whatnot. But I am happy to get my pink wig on again. I think I'm going to wear it all night. And here's the one thing I will say about the wigs too is like when I am in the freezing house, they help keep me warm. It's like wearing a nice cozy hat too. But I love this one. It's my favorite one. I love the pink and white. It's awesome. So that's it, guys. I will be back tomorrow, probably in the evening tomorrow. I think tomorrow I might go back to talking about the Sims family murder case, and I might hopefully be able to wrap that up this weekend, but I'm not sure because it's a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I haven't gone down it in a while, so I'm not sure how long it will take me to go through it all. We'll see. But I think I'm going to start talking about the Sims case again tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in cold cases, feel free to join me tomorrow night. I probably won't. I think tomorrow night I'll try to shoot for about 9 o'clock Central Time. Um, 9 or 10 Central is probably what I'll shoot for tomorrow night. And yeah, so pop on by if you like, and if not, you can always watch it on replay. And that's it. Have a great Thursday night, and thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. I can't wait to get more wigs, but this probably will always be one of my favorites. I just love it. It's awesome. It's fun to wear. So have a great evening, you guys, and be safe, be happy, be healthy, be kind, be loving, be forgiving, be compassionate, and tell your loved ones everything you want to say, because you never know which day is your last day or theirs. Yes, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I stream. Thanks for joining me. Did you see my little guy? I don't know what he's called. He used to be one of my kids, but I've adopted him. All right, you guys. Good night. And oh, these lights. I have 3 of them in the studio. I love them. Walmart, cheap, very subtle mood lighting. Love them. Well, thank you, Fumble Bunny. I'm glad you were able to pop in, and thanks for your comment. It was really that gave me like a nice little like, aw, and I read it aloud to Wayne, and we were driving, I think, going somewhere at the time, but it was nice. Thank you. So I'm glad you joined me, and please do come back again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good sleep, and don't let the demons bite. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.